I'd like to welcome the town planner Grace Peters from the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. The Honorable Minister of Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, ably represented by the Director and Head of Department of Urban and Regional Development, the President of the Green Building Council Nigeria, distinguished representatives of federal and state government ministries, departments and agencies, representatives of international development partners, captains of industry, members of the National Multistakeholder Working Group, professional bodies, academia, civil society organizations, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure and deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you to all this historic national launch of the roadmap development process for the national decarbonization and resilient roadmap for Nigeria's buildings and construction sector. Today marks the beginning of an important national journey. It is not merely a launch of another policy initiative. It is the commencement of a transformative process that seeks to reshape how Nigeria plans, designs, constructs, operates and manage its building and communities in response to the realities of climate change and the demand of sustainable development. On behalf of the National Multistakeholder Working Group for Decarbonized and Resilient Buildings, I extend a very warm welcome to every participant and express my sincere appreciation for your presence and commitment to this national assignment. I wish to specially commend the Green Building Council Nigeria for its outstanding leadership and unwavering commitment to advancing sustainable buildings and climate action in Nigeria over the years, at least for the past 2-3 years that I've been working with the Green Building Council. It has consistently demonstrated a remarkable vision by mobilizing government institutions and the private sector, professional bodies, academia, financial institutions and civil society organizations and development partners around a common agenda for transforming Nigerian built environment. In particular, I commend this Green Building Council for its pioneering efforts in developing the MDC scorecard for sustainable building, an important tool that has strengthened the integration of the building sector into Nigeria's climate commitments by providing a framework for assessing progress towards our nationally determined contributions. Building on that milestone, the Council has once again demonstrated commendable leadership by initiating the development of the National Decarbonization and Resilient Roadmap for Nigerian buildings and construction. This initiative represents another significant step toward providing the strategic direction required to transition Nigeria's built environment to a low-carbon, climate-resilient and resource-efficient future. This achievement underscores the Council's commitment to supporting national development priorities while contributing meaningfully to global climate action. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria's rapid urbanization presents both immense opportunities and significant challenges. As the demand for housing infrastructure and public facilities continue to grow, our cities are increasingly vulnerable to climate resilient risks such as flood, heat, erosion, and desertification. Globally, the building construction sector is a major contributor to energy consumption and greenhouse gas emission, but it also offers significant opportunities to drive decarbonization, improve energy efficiency, and stimulate green economic growth. For Nigeria, where many of the buildings that will exist by 2050 are yet to be constructed, this present a unique opportunity to embrace low carbon energy efficient and climate resilient development pathways that will shape a more sustainable future. It is for this reason that the roadmap we are launching today is both timely and strategic. Most importantly, it is a collaborative framework that aligns with Nigeria's Climate Change Act, our national determined contribution, our long-term low-emission development strategy, and our broader national aspirations for sustainable urbanization, inclusive economic growth and environmental stewardship. Distinguished participants, the ultimate success of this roadmap will not depend solely on the quality of the technical analysis. Its greatest strength will lie in the quality of the partnerships and collaborations that underpin the development, its development and implementation. That's why the National Multistakeholder Working Group has been established. Our collective responsibility is to ensure that the roadmap reflects Nigeria's realities, address sector-specific challenges, and provide practical implementation actions that can be embraced by government, industry, professional academia, financial institutions, and development partners, and local communities. No single institution can transform the building sector alone. Every stakeholder represented here today has an indispensable role in achieving our shared vision. Ladies and gentlemen, today's program has been carefully designed to commence this collaborative process. We shall be privileged to receive the keynote address of the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, whose recent appointment presents a timely opportunity to further strengthen Nigeria's commitment to sustainable housing, climate-responsive urban development, and the transformation of our built environment. We shall also receive goodwill messages and strategic institutional remarks from our distinguished partners, followed by a presentation of strategic brief that will guide the roadmap development process. Thereafter, we shall engage in an interactive stakeholder consultation where your ideas, experiences, and recommendations will contribute significantly to shaping this important national framework. I therefore encourage every participant to engage actively, openly, constructively throughout today's deliberation. Let us look beyond institutional boundaries and individual mandates and work together towards a common national vision. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and wish us a fruitful, productive deliberations. Thank you for your time and attention. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Grace. Thank you for the opening remarks. I would like to invite a few of our stakeholders to give us strategic remarks on this National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap. So let me first invite the Assistant Director, Renewable and Rural Power Access, Federal Ministry of Power Engineer, Dina Tenitope. Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. The Honorable Minister, Prime Minister of Housing and Urban Development, the President, Grand Council of Nigeria, distinguished representatives from various government ministries, departments, and agencies, multi-stakeholders working group, the private sector, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to join today at the National Kick-off Workshop for the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap for the Nigerian building and construction sector. On behalf of the Ministry, I wish to commend the Green Building Council of Nigeria and its partners for convening this very important workshop and for driving the initiative that is both timely and strategic to Nigeria's sustainable development goals. The development of the National Decarbonization and Resilient Roadmap for the built environment comes at a crucial moment as Nigeria continues to experience rapid urbanization and increasing demand for housing and infrastructure. It is imperative that our buildings are designed, constructed, and operated in a manner that promotes sustainability, resilience, and efficient use of scarce resources. Globally, the building and construction sector accounts for a substantial share of energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions, contributing about 37% of this emission, as stated by the United Nations Environmental Programme. Consequently, achieving national and global climate objectives require deliberate efforts to improve energy performance in buildings, promote low carbon construction practices, and accelerate the adoption of clean energy solutions nationwide. For the Ministry of Power, this agenda is closely aligned with our core mandates and ongoing priority initiatives. We are actively driving demand-side mitigation by developing the Building Energy Efficiency Code along with the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. And we also implemented the minimum energy performance standards. These standards have been developed for air conditioners, for freezers, and also for lighting. And recently we are going into the development of MEMS for motors and also for television and heaters. And all these are being done to help reduce energy consumption, lower greenhouse gas emission, and fostering a more sustainable future for the building ecosystem. Simultaneously, we are slashing the built environment carbon footprint by deploying decentralized renewable energy solutions and executing the solarization of public buildings across the nation. As we speak, we've been able to solarize the powerhouse, which is the flagship house of the ministry. We've done about 3 military barracks across the different geopolitical zones. And as we speak, the building of the head of service of the Federation is being powered by solar. The ministry remains committed to the implementation of Nigeria's energy transition plan and other strategic initiatives aimed at delivering sustainable and inclusive energy access. Through ongoing investment in renewable energy deployment, support mini-grid and solar home system program, expansion in rural electrification intervention, and effort to promote energy efficiency across sectors significantly are being made. We also appreciate the significant opportunity that exists within the building sector to reducing energy demand through improved building design, efficient appliance and equipment, and smart energy management systems. The integration of renewable energy technologies has also helped in making our environment cleaner and greener. The National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap therefore represents an important framework for coordinating action across government, the private sector, development partners, professional institutions, and the academia. It provides an opportunity to establish a shared vision, identify priority intervention, and mobilize the investment and partnership required to transform Nigeria's built environment. As a member of the Multistakeholder Working Group supporting this initiative, the Ministry of Power has actively participated in the technical session leading to this stage. We remain committed to working collaboratively with all stakeholders to ensure that the roadmap reflects practical and implementable strategies that support Nigeria's energy transition objectives while responding to the realities of our national development tests. The Ministry particularly welcomes the emphasis on energy efficiency, renewable energy integration, climate resilience, and sustainable infrastructure development. These priorities are essential not only for reducing emissions but also for building communities that are more resilient to climate-related risks and better positioned to support long-term economic growth. As we formally commence this process today, the Ministry reaffirms its commitment to working with all stakeholders to ensure that Nigeria's built environment evolves into one that is energy efficient, climate resilient, and power resilient by home energy solutions. I'm confident that the program will serve as an important tool to guide policy, investment, and actions towards a more sustainable and resilient built environment in Nigeria. On this note, I wish to thank all stakeholders for the hard work that has been done in putting up these documents and a fruitful deliberation and also a successful workshop. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate the Ministry of Environment being with us in this important occasion. There's one more strategic remark from one of the key institutions of the National Institute of Town Planners. Please let me welcome the Town Planner, Mr. Karba Jubran. He's the second National Vice President. Please, I request him to come up to give the strategic remark for this National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap.
Honorable Minister, Federal Minister of Housing and Urban Development, the President, National Kick-off Council, distinguished partners, stakeholders, and members of the built environment. I have the honor on behalf of Nigeria Institute of Town Planners, led by the National President, Town Planner Dr. Obon Fellow of Nigeria Institute of Town Planners, to represent the Nigeria Institute of Town Planners on this auspicious occasion. I have with me Town Planner Dr. Kisi Kanu, the second Vice President and Chairman of the Institute. Thank you. This I have the honor to present the President's speech as follows. It is a pleasure to represent the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners at this National Kick-off Workshop of the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap for Nigeria's buildings and construction sector. I commend the Green Building Council Nigeria for convening this important initiative, which seeks to develop a shared framework for advancing decarbonization and climate resilience within Nigeria's built environment. Climate change poses significant threats to Nigerian cities through flooding, desertification, coastal erosion, extreme temperatures, and infrastructure failures. These challenges demand a coordinated response because the buildings and construction sector is both a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and one of the sector's most vulnerable to climate impact. As professional town planners, we believe that sustainable and resilient development begins with effective spatial planning. Decisions on land use, housing, transportation, infrastructure, and environmental management shape the sustainability of our cities for generations. We therefore welcome the development of a practical, evidence-based, and inclusive roadmap that promotes integrated planning, efficient land use, sustainable mobility, green infrastructure, and climate resilient development. The success of this roadmap will depend on strong collaboration among government, professional bodies, the private sector, development partners, and local communities. The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners is fully committed to supporting this process by contributing a professional expertise in spatial planning, urban governance, and environmental management. I commend the Green Building Council Nigeria, the World Green Building Council, and all collaborating partners for this timely initiative. Let us work together to produce a roadmap that will guide Nigeria toward a low carbon, resilient, and sustainable built environment. On behalf of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, I assure you of our full support throughout this important national assignment. Thank you, and I wish you a successful workshop. Town Planner Dr. Obonachi, Fellow Nigerian Institute of Town Planners and National President, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have some other strategy from our key stakeholders coming later in. I would like to open the floor for the keynote address. It's being delivered by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. So the minister is being represented here by the director and the head of the Department of Urban and Regional Development, Town Planner Margaret Agijobi. I welcome her. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. The President of Nigeria Building Council, leaders and partners, members of the Youth Environment Institute, I'm here to deliver the Building Address on behalf of Honorable Minister, Engineer, Musa Rabikana. Unavoidably access. However, he sent his time in that to the council and party. It is my pleasure to address this distinguished gathering and the National Kick-off Workshop for the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap to Nigeria's Building and Construction. I commend the Green Building Council Nigeria and its partners for convening this primary and strategic workshop. This initiative comes at a critical moment in our national development journey. Across the globe, the building and construction sector accounts for a significant share of greenhouse gas emissions, energy consumption, and resources utilization. As Nigeria continues to urbanize rapidly, our cities and settlements must become engines of sustainability, resilience, economic prosperity, and social inclusion. The federal government, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GDR, remains committed to fulfilling Nigeria's obligation under the Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goal, the New Urban Agenda, and our National Climate Contribution (NDC). The Federal Ministry of Housing and Development is playing its part by driving policies and programs that promote sustainable urbanization, resilient infrastructure, climate-responsive housing, and low-carbon development pathways. Ladies and gentlemen, the title of the keynote address, Housing, Cities, and Nigerian Built Environment Transition, reflects the urgent need to rethink how we plan, design, build, and manage our urban settlements in an era of climate uncertainty. Housing is far more than shelter. It's a platform for human development, economic productivity, environmental sustainability, and social stability. Similarly, cities are not merely concentration of buildings and infrastructure. They are living systems that shape economic growth, resource consumption, resilience, and quality of life. The transition of Nigerian built environment, therefore, requires deliberate actions to ensure that our housing and urban development system contributes positively to climate mitigation and adaptation. Recognizing this imperative, the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has taken significant steps to make sure climate action into its policies, programs, and institutional framework. One of our first strategic actions is strengthening the ministry commitment to climate action through the appointment of a focal person on climate change and environment to enhance coordination and stakeholders' engagement on climate-related issues. This has facilitated the ministry's active participation in key national and international platforms, including sessions of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the World Urban Forum, and other initiatives promoting green, resilient, and inclusive urban development. English participants. Major milestone in our reform effort was the approval by the Federal Executive Council in June 2025 of the revised National Urban Development Policy. The policy provides a comprehensive framework for sustainable urbanization and explicit integrates climate action through sustainable urban planning principles, promotion of green infrastructure, compact urban development, and strengthening resilience to climate-related issues. The Ministry has also initiated a national policy on rural settlement planning and development. This policy recognizes that sustainable urbanization cannot be achieved without addressing rural development challenges by promoting climate resilient infrastructure and economic opportunities in rural communities. We aim to reduce distress migration and create more balanced patterns of spatial development. This sustainable land use planning, infrastructure provision, capacity development, and enhanced urban resilience across the country. Equally important is the ongoing review of the National Building Code. The revised code will integrate climate smart construction standards, energy efficiency requirements, sustainable building materials, disaster risk reduction measures, and resilient design principles. Once adopted and effectively enforced, it will significantly reduce emissions from the built environment while improving the safety, durability, and performance of buildings nationwide. The ministry's climate commitment is also reflected in implementation of the new processes and city initiatives. Under this initiative, we are promoting climate responsive housing design that reduce energy consumption, improve thermal comfort, and minimize environmental impacts. We are also ensuring the provision of resilient infrastructure capable of withstanding extreme weather events and climate-related disasters. Beyond housing the people, we recognize that building resilient communities requires investment in urban renewal and adaptation. The ministry has therefore secured increased budgetary provision for urban renewal and slum upgrading programs. These interventions are aimed at improving living conditions in underserved communities while ensuring that vulnerable population benefits from climate adaptation investment. The ministry has prepared urban resilience and sustainability plans for selected towns and cities across the country. These plans will provide strategic frameworks for climate risk reduction, resilient infrastructure development, and sustainable urban growth. Another initiative is the Sahel Resilient Project, being implemented in collaboration with UNDP and UN Habitat and funded by the government of Sweden. Through the Inclusive, Safe, Resilient, and Sustainable Human Settlement Program, we are supporting 12 northern states to address climate-induced displacement, fragility, and conflict using a humanitarian development peace nexus approach. Current efforts include planning the Kano-Agadez transborder region to support informed investment and development decisions in both Nigeria and Nigeria. Transition to a decarbonized and resilient environment cannot be achieved by government alone. It requires strong partnership among government institutions, private sectors, actors, professional bodies, financial institutions, academia, development partners, and civil society organizations. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, therefore, will continue to work closely with the National Council on Climate Change and the Federal Ministry of Environment to ensure that housing, urban development, and infrastructure conservation are fully integrated to the national climate policies and programs. Through these collaborations, we contribute technical expertise on climate responsive housing, sustainable urban planning, resilient infrastructure, and low carbon development pathway to national adaptation and mitigation strategies. As we embark on the development of this national decarbonization and resilience roadmap, I wish to highlight several opportunities that should guide our collective efforts. One, strengthening of multi-stakeholder collaboration, particularly in mobilizing climate finance for green and resilient infrastructure. Two, step up green financing mechanism to support affordable, inclusive, and sustainable housing. Promote ventures and investment in local manufacture of climate resilient and energy efficient to reduce emissions while creating new jobs. Four, accelerate nationwide adoption and effective enforcement of the national building code. Collaborate towards establishing national urban observatory to support evidence-based planning, monitoring and reporting of urban sustainability and decarbonization outcomes. Expand investments in urban resilience and adaptation projects targeted at vulnerable communities. Promote the development and preservation of green space in our city to improve environmental quality and climate resilience. The last one, encourage the development of waste to energy systems and circular economic approaches. The future of Nigeria Nigeria's cities and settlements will be determined by the choices we make today. Decarbonization and resilience are no longer optional aspirations. They are development imperatives. The built environment must become a catalyst for sustainable growth, climate action, economic competitiveness, and improved quality of life for all Nigerians. The National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap presents a unique opportunity to chart the practical pathway towards a cleaner, safer, and more prosperous future. Therefore, urge all stakeholders to actively contribute their expertise, resources, and commitments towards the successful development and implementation of on this note, I formally declare the National Kick-off Workshop for National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap for Nigerian Building and wish to thank you all and God bless the Republic of
Thank you, ma'am. It's wonderful to know the efforts and the initiatives taken by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. I think it's a very right time, the strategic roadmap as well as the initiatives of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development comes aligned. The next, to introduce you to the project, we have a presentation of the strategic brief of the NDRR roadmap project, and it actually tells you the purpose, the scope, and the direction of the project. It will be presented by Ms. Zinacho from the Family Homes Fund and Engineer Peter Isali from the Federal Ministry of Power. I'd like to invite you both so you can have a presentation of the project and understand the purpose, the scope, the objective of this roadmap. Thank you.
Good morning. Allow me to sit on the They marks an important milestone in Nigeria's journey towards a more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive built environment. We're launching the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap process, a collaborative effort designed to help align climate ambition, urban development priorities, and practical implementation pathways for buildings and construction sectors. This roadmap is not simply another document. It's intended to become a shared framework for action that brings together government, industry, finance, academia, civil society, and development partners around a common vision for sector transformation. There is a critical moment in its development journey. We're experiencing rapid urbanization, growing housing demand, increasing climate risks, and rising pressure on infrastructure and public services. At the same time, there's significant activity across government, private sector, and development partners to address these challenges. However, these efforts often operate in parallel rather than as part of a coordinated system. The roadmap is needed because Nigeria does not simply require greater ambition. It requires a practical mechanism to connect existing commitments, investments, policies, initiatives into a more coherent pathway for action. The opportunity before us is significant, but it is also time sensitive. The building's infrastructure we construct today will shape our emissions profile, resilience capacity, and quality of life for decades to come. The roadmap seeks to move the sector from fragmented efforts towards aligned action. First, it will strengthen alignment between climate commitments, urban development priorities, and sector initiatives. It will then establish a stronger evidence base that will help identify where the greatest challenges and opportunities exist. It will then translate that evidence into practical implementation pathways that clearly identify priorities, enabling conditions, and opportunities for action. Ultimately, the roadmap is about creating a common direction that enables stakeholders to move faster and more effectively together than they can individually. For this roadmap, decarbonization and resilience are inseparable. Decarbonization means reducing the greenhouse gas emissions across the entire life cycle of buildings, from construction, materials, building design to operations, maintenance, and eventual end-of-life considerations. Resilience means ensuring that buildings, settlements, and infrastructure can anticipate, withstand, adapt to, recover from climate-related shocks and stresses. For Nigeria, these concepts must be viewed through a development lens. This is not about limiting growth, it's about ensuring that future growth is cleaner, more efficient, more affordable, and more resilient. One of the defining features of this roadmap is that it treats climate action as a pathway to broader development outcomes. Lower carbon and more resilient buildings can improve housing quality, reduce energy costs, create jobs, strengthen local industries, improve public health, and enhance community well-being. The roadmap therefore recognizes that climate objectives must be aligned with affordability, inclusion, economic opportunity, and national development priorities. Success will not only be measured by emission reduction, but also the positive impact on people and communities. The purpose of the roadmap is straightforward. It is designed to translate Nigeria's climate resilience, built environment ambitions into practical pathways for implementation. It will help answer critical questions. What needs to change? Where the greatest opportunities are? What enabling conditions are needed? And what role do different stakeholders play? The roadmap will provide a shared framework that helps move the sector from broad ambition into coordinated action. The roadmap is guided by 5 strategic objectives: advancing whole life decarbonization across buildings and construction value chains, strengthening climate resilience across buildings, settlements, and infrastructure systems, improving well-being, inclusion, and housing adequacy, particularly for vulnerable and underserved populations. It will also strengthen the enabling conditions required for implementation, including policy, finance, skills, data, and institutional capacity. Lastly, it will clarify practical implementation pathways that define how different sectors can contribute to the transition. Together, these objectives create a balanced framework that address environmental, social, and economic priorities. I'll hand it over to engineering.
Thank you, Nantu, for such an presentation on what needs to be done, the reason why it has to be done. So let's now have a deep dive into structural architecture and have a step up. Let's comprehensive scope. Where this is national in scope, is explicitly designed for complex sustainability across different regions and different sectors. The scope treats building and construction sector as a composite system. It's a connected ecosystem that are viewed through two critical lenses. One, the physical environment, and second, the enabling environment. So temporarily, our horizon is structured for steady progression. At this slide, we look back. Now, in 2030, 2030 is just like we're in 2026 at the moment, so shortly after we'll be 2030. So that we can easily pick as low hanging fruit. And then the next will be 2035, which is going to be scaling up on whatever we're able to achieve in 2030. And by 2060, this provides us a long-term plan for us to achieve our targets. So to make the ecosystem more manageable, the roadmap have broken the ecosystem down into 6 targeted action areas, which are boldly itemized on the screen. So if you can see with me, we have policy and governance. What's the second one? Leadership and what? I want us to be part of this. That is what I'm asking. So these action areas provide practical organizational framework for identifying priorities and coordinating implementation. Importantly, they are intended to function as interconnected components of a broader national transformation, rather than an isolated work stream. But you will agree with me that the effectiveness of this roadmap ultimately depends on its successful implementation. We've had a lot of roadmaps in the country, and I believe some of us are testament to the reason why some of these things never get to see the light of day. So the success of the roadmap is hinged on successful implementation. Next slide. Now, the implementation pathways form a central component of the roadmap's design. So when providing strategic national direction, the framework also allows sufficient flexibility for adaptation at various levels, both at state, local, and other levels, acknowledging variation in institutional capacity, development priorities, and local conditions. Therefore, responsibility for implementation is distributed across multiple actors, where we remain aligned with the shared national framework. The roadmap should be viewed as the beginning of the work that is lying ahead of us, rather than the completion of Nigeria's decarbonization and resilience journey. Next slide. On the path of transformation, in the development process of the roadmap, we started with stakeholder engagement, and we'll be progressing gradually, just like we have it on the slide. We have about 6 steps stated, and some of which include evidence gathering, progressive through analysis, then we have prioritization, we have action planning, and ultimately support implementation across the sector. And the next slide. You agree with me that the roadmap is an invitation to collaborate. Various speakers have established this and emphasized this over and over again. So the successful implementation of the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap will depend upon collective ownership and sustained collaboration across all stakeholder groups No single institution can achieve this transformation independently. That has also been established by various presenters. So this underscores the need for collaboration among all relevant stakeholders. And as I conclude, if we all do our parts appropriately, Nigeria has the opportunity to build a construction sector that simultaneously advances climate resilience, economic competitiveness, social inclusion, and sustainable development for present and future generations. God bless the Republic of Nigeria. This is the end of our presentation. And,
Thank you so much, Zainatu and Ms. Peter. If you have any questions, the strategic brief of this National Decarbonization Workshop or the roadmap, we are very happy to answer it after the short brief break. I also want to welcome few of the stakeholders to just reflect on this strategic brief so that we understand what the um, Rural Electrification Agency, someone representing the Rural Electrification Agency, would like to come up and talk about the strategy. Thank you.
Earlier, as presented by colleague from Ministry of Power, we have seen that at least in a lot of effort attempting to understand the processes, as it were, in terms of trying to position Nigeria into and the Rural Electrification Agency, what we are doing try to analyze some of these processes in order for us to actually meet all of this. Roadmap has actually been captured by last week. I think in any case, this is a good this meeting is actually discuss some of this because of the fact that we already know that climate change. The council, as it were, stands very, very good ground to actually list all of these important points in order for us all to this. I think I wouldn't want to say too much. At the end, maybe after the tea break, we have all that together to have a proper discussion. That said, the most important thing I want to say here is that rural electrification agency be operates all this way. Where into green space. And of course, what that means is that we we are doing increase that are not necessarily whether we are catalyzing processes and using what you might refer to as green, green lighting and light. So, with that said, I think as we move along,
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you. There are a few questions online, so I will just read it out. The presenters or anyone can able to answer it. So the question is, as the roadmap moves forward from strategy to implementation, how does the Secretariat envision and engage in private sector technology and infrastructure firms in pilot projects and long-term delivery partnerships? So we just put up the questions there. So if anyone would like to answer that. They are talking about the strategy from implementation to. So alright, I think I will give my suggestions on this. So I think the person who asked the question is talking about the implementation of the roadmap, which is actually the second part of the project itself, because we are currently in terms of understanding what is the scope of the project, what are the boundaries, and what kind of baseline assessment that we can actually do in terms of to set the roadmap, which is very practical and very implementational in terms of Nigerian environment. So I think when it comes to implementation, which is also another part of the roadmap project, this National Decarbonization Roadmap project is being done in other African countries as well, because this is a World Green Building Council's project. So there are a few of Nigerian African countries that have moved forward, finished their roadmap and have started with implementation. So I think the questions of them, the implementation comes in terms where we select the problem and how we engage the private and the public to get into it in terms of implementation. It's a long shot now to answer that question, because we are really trying now to make sure that is deeply related to Nigeria's problems, and the context in which Nigeria is trying to be decarbonization of the whole building environment. I think that's why the next stage of this roadmap is the setting of baseline assessment in terms of understanding the built environment that is currently there, also projecting the future built environmental storms that are coming inside. So I'm sorry you couldn't be able to answer that question because it's very far along. We are taking one step at a time. Thank you. Is there any other question? Would any other organization would like to have their comments on the strategic brief? Or you don't have to address the organization. If you have any other comments on the strategic brief or any doubts or implementation problems, you can let us know. Alright, so we will just take a small coffee break, so we can just stretch our legs to understand and we'll start networking. And after that, when we come back, we'll have another presentation, and then we will have some small discussions around this brief, and we can also understand it more deeper when we come back. Thank you. Please feel free to go at the end of the hall. We have some refreshments and some hot drinks. So please help yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Can I have your attention please? So we will move forward with our program. So we're going to have the presentation too. So this is going to be about the National Decarbonization Roadmap process, the governance, the stakeholder engagement that is going to be coming with this roadmap process. So to present that, let me call Dr. Abdul Karim Garba from the NIQS. Thank you so much.
Good morning, uh, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Abdul representing Nigeria Student Council. I want to build on the existing presentation earlier today by Zenith and Visa in respect of the strategic brief. I'm going to focus on the development approach, governance, and engagement of the strategic brief. Just as we have mentioned earlier, we did talk about that the strategic brief is not coming to replace the policy or to serve a certification agency. Instead, it's coming as technical, strategic, and implemented-oriented framework. So largely it's framework, which is going to clarify on what to do, who to do it, and how to do it. That is what the strategic brief is all about. And it's going to support the policy process in implementing the climate mitigation in Nigeria. Next slide, please. The development approach will be developed through structure, but adaptive process, which is going to combine evidence gathering, stakeholder engagement, technical inputs, action development, and validation. The process will be co-created, evidence informed, and implementation oriented that aim to translate the sector knowledge and stakeholder input into practical priorities. The approach will be adopted to Nigerian institutional data, market, and implementation realities. Next slide, please. The scope have been displayed earlier, so we can move to the next slide. The roadmap development process. The first stage here is about mobilizing an anchor, which is fundamental. We're supposed to set this. The first 3 months of the strategic brief is going to be to set the foundation for the development processes, identify stakeholders, activate the National Working Committee group, then set the scope within the first 3 months. Then between the 4 months, the next 6 months, which is 4 to 9 months, it is expected to access and organize the baseline. In this context, it is expected to conduct a national assessment of construction sector, covering both physical and enabling environment. If we say physical in this context, we mean the buildings, what is it made of, that is material, which type of building, which kind of energy emission is the building likely emitting. And when we talk about enabling environment, we are talking about the policy, the market, all this form part of the enabling environment. So the next 6 months after the first phase, that is what we do. The third one, we analyze and prioritize. The findings from the last session, meaning what was being conducted between the 4 to 9 months, then you are going to organize them into challenges and opportunity matrix, ensuring you sequence which one are important. If you sequence them, you'll be able to now have what to be done next and what to be done later. That is the next stage. That is the next 3 months. Then between 12 and 15 months, it is expected to develop the structure. In this case, we translate the agreed actions, then the solution pathway, develop them into the roadmap itself. That is what the next 3 months is going to come. So what you have agreed, what the actions you have agreed upon, the solution you are going to implement this, then put them into practice for the purpose of the roadmap. Now you are going to form the roadmap. So that the last section of the process is to validate, disseminate, collecting feedback and the implementation and feedback. That is what the next is. So it's going to have 18 months. Let's take some. Let's start with the governance structures. It is expected that there is going to be co-creation governance. I will start from that, which is the GBC and Secretariat. They have the responsibility of carrying out day-to-day activities in the governance of the strategic group. Meaning, they are going to be the one undertaking the day-to-day activities of the delivery of the projects. Whatever feedback, they are supposed to document them for future references. The second one, which is the roadmap coordination team, largely is about the technical side of it. They are going to bring technical alignments where there are mistakes to be corrected. And they are going to be the interface manager between the policy and the implementation itself. Well, the National Multistakeholder Working Group, they are the primary of bringing together all the stakeholders that are going to that are going to bring either some form of advice, suggestion for finances, how to go about it. Their own role is that they coordinate the stakeholder into one platform, with a view to allow other governance structure to partake in it. So each one of them have their responsibility. The first one is about bringing all the stakeholders, which comprises the governments of national body, other actors, human rights groups, industry, academia, in that particular group, they form that particular group. Then the second one, which is about the technical side of it. Then the operation itself is about the total, that is GBC and Secretariat. Next slide. This is the developmental process. It is expected, it is expected to always get some feedback. In this context, stakeholders there are some kind of thing you get from the stakeholders. What you get from them, you use it to develop the roadmap into a better support for the policy. So there are some fixed things. They are not fixed committee per se, or they are not fixed teams. Instead, we are trying to get feedback that will further enhance the performance of the program. So it means from time to time, you will be working on these particular teams. That something like policy, governance, and regulation, which is very important. The stakeholders, from time to time, you need to make them to get some of this information. Energy, building performance, and code, market, industry, material are also needed in this context. Finances and investment, which is the backbone of everything in this context. Then we have issue of data and metric standard and tools. One of the important resilience and implementation is another thing. Then there are ways to validate some of these things. From time to time, we go for validation through workshop, other engagements. You can be able to validate some of the data you have already had. Typically, the baseline workshop, some of the data that the GBC are going to get is expected after they have acquired them. They have internally worked on them, go front and back, they will not present it at the workshop to be able to get feedback from the practitioners or from the government agency. Then there are challenges and opportunity review. It's also part of validation. You review them from time to time, and don't forget, for every crisis there is a lesson learned. As such, you will be able to sometimes with some challenges come, you have better solutions for them. So if you review them, things you get some good progress. Prioritization workshop is also very important. Development workshop is also of excellence. Because as you are progressing, you want maybe some pilot project are being done, or some project are then this part of the development needs to also be validated to see if they are replicable in some places, whether at state level or at city levels. Then draft roadmap, this is also very important because sometimes some people may not be part of these processes. So instead, maybe at that particular level, they also find some persons of technical ability to form part of it. The additional contribution can also be made even at that level. Excellent. So this is part of their presentation. Next slide. Part of their presentations. Next slide. Expected outcomes. It is expected at all stages to have directed aid. We need to acquire some outcomes. Very important. For instance, under the strategic framing, it's all about the purpose, scope, objective, and approach to goal. The framing, just like you are carrying out academic research, you frame the area, which is going to cover like scope, the objectives, the aim, and purpose of the work. And the second one is stakeholders initiative. You consolidate the picture of the institution's initiative and goals. Number 3, diagnostic evidence base. The baseline review you have carried out or you have conducted, it is expected also to have National Building and Construction Diagnostic Report, meaning the report of what you carried out under the baseline assessment is supposed to also be outlined. Then the challenges and priorities, meaning the challenges and opportunity matrix also report have to be made. It's part of the expected outcomes. Solution and action pathway. Priority actions, meaning after you have identified the challenges and you have also identified the solutions, the opportunity there, you now have to now sequence them. How do you intend to progress? That is the sequencing in this process. Then, if you have a kind of systemic approach, this is the challenges you have. These are the opportunities available. Then sequence them. The report of that process is also need to be available for time replications. Number 6, project concept and final concepts, funding, validation paths, theory of change also report have to be available. Next slide. From output to outcome. From the roadmap output, it is expected that the stakeholder mobilization evaluation are adequately available? And if they're available, what are the expected outcomes? The closer one, meaning the short term, and the longer term. The short term, which is the near term outcome, is cross-sector engagement and possible pilots or bigger picture projects. The long-term contribution is planning alignment, development, and resilience. Meaning, the overall things that is expected is to have climate mitigation process as a result of the greenhouse gases emissions that have been released into the atmosphere, which is a global concern in recent time. And the construction sector is one of the culprits in this respect. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for a very clear presentation. I hope everyone understood what the roadmap is going to take forward in the next few months. Really appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. I have a goodwill message from the Town Planners Registration Council, the Town Planner Dr. Chinedu Okura. Please, let me help you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start already established protocol. It's a good message from the Planners Association Council of Nigeria. I was supposed to come earlier, but unfortunately, from Port Harcourt to our stage, so I'm really sorry for coming into the program. It's a good message. But this is a good message by the ad hoc interim president of the Planners Resilient Council of Nigeria on the development of the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap for Nigerians' building and construction sector. It's with a great pleasure and a profound sense of shared responsibility that I extend my warm congratulations to the Green Building Council of Nigeria and all collaborative partners in the process and progress of the National Decarbonization and Resilience Roadmap for Nigerians' building and construction sector. With our nation driving towards the bold macroeconomic milestone of the renewed hope National Development Plan NDP 2026 to 2030, while simultaneously honoring our absolute emission reduction targets under NDC 3.0, the timing of this roadmap could not be more critical. Building and construction are globally recognized as major drivers of carbon emission and energy consumption in Nigeria. The rapid urbanization means that a massive portion of our future building stocks is yet to be constructed. If we continue with traditional carbon-intensive methods, we risk locking our cities into vulnerable climatic sensitive pathways. So this roadmap serves as a vital blueprint to avert that risk. It translates high-level climatic ambitions into a practical, market-ready realities by focusing on what matters most. One, the decarbonizing materials. That's introducing low carbon, circular, and indigenous construction materials. Two, energy efficiency.